Welcome to Lesson 2 in Unit 24, Particle Picnic. In this lesson, students will work to answer the question, how can we use the properties of materials to identify cake ingredients? In this lesson, students conduct investigations using changes in matter to identify unknown substances. Students figure out that ingredients can be identified by their physical and chemical properties. Students make connections to the storyline by identifying ingredients used in baking based on their physical and chemical properties. There are several opportunities for ELA and math cross-curricular connections throughout the lesson. You can look for specific standard connections in the Unit 24 Teacher Guide. This lesson will take approximately 3 days to complete. To begin the Engage portion of the lesson, you'll show students an image of unlabeled containers in a kitchen and a recipe for a cake. You'll ask them to imagine that when they go through a cabinet, they are able to find all of the ingredients except for sugar, cornstarch, and baking soda. In the cabinet, they find several unlabeled cooking powders. You'll ask them about the state of matter of the ingredients and how else they can describe them. You'll have students make predictions about how to tell the ingredients apart and turn and talk to a partner, then share their answers. You'll then revisit the driving question board and add any new questions and highlight others connected to the learning goals of this lesson by calling attention to questions about ingredients used in baking a cake or telling ingredients apart. You can post and discuss the substance vocabulary card. For the Explore portion, you'll set up the Identifying Unknown Substances investigation. A detailed procedure for the investigation can be found in the Teacher Guide. Students will investigate the different substances by observing their physical properties and how they react with liquids in order to identify the ingredients. You'll have students record the data from their investigations on the Identifying Unknown Substances student journal page. Be sure to use the tutorial slides for setup and procedures. In the Explain portion of the lesson, students will engage in a class discussion. You'll invite them to gather and analyze their observations around their unknown substances investigation. You'll use the provided questions to guide the discussion around how can we use the properties of materials to identify cake ingredients. The goal of this class discussion is to analyze data from their investigations to identify properties that might be used to tell ingredients apart. You'll use the discussion to create the Lesson 2 summary chart. From the discussion, students should understand that we can match unknown items with known ingredients using measurements and properties that appear after they are mixed. The summary chart discussion will continue into the Elaborate portion. During the discussion, you'll have students read My Size Chemical Properties of Matter. You'll then post and discuss the chemical properties and reactivity vocabulary cards. For the Elaborate portion, you'll display the Properties of Known Substances table slide and have students work in pairs to analyze the data table on the Properties of Kitchen Powders student journal page to determine which powder was which based on its properties and reactivity with water, vinegar, and iodine. You'll then wrap up the summary chart discussion. For the Evaluate portion, you'll have students complete the Kitchen Powders Evaluate student journal page. To support student sense-making across the unit, orient them back to the driving question board. Ask students, what did we learn about how we can identify ingredients used in cooking by their properties? And what additional questions do you have now? By the end of this lesson, students will have made observations to identify unknown powders based on their properties. In Lesson 3, students will investigate the physical and chemical changes that occur during baking. For more information about this unit, visit myscipartners.com.